Hello, and welcome to HRBC show called Let's Talk. So today we have Jennifer Franklin, candidate for
Hello.
District 1 School Board.
That's right. That's right.
So, hi, Jen. Would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Hey, Miss Nina. Well, I am a 22-year Navy retired reservist, and I grew up in a
Navy.
small town in Quakertown, Pennsylvania. I was adopted into a wonderful Mennonite family, so I know everything about sausages and all kinds of different things about farm life. But at after a year of college, I went ahead and joined the military. I actually followed my then boyfriend, thinking that we were going to go see the world together, and that didn't really work out because after boot camp, I never saw him again. So,
Oh,
which was actually probably a good thing. But and then after that, ever since 1989, I have made Virginia Beach my home, except for a small little stint of about 6 months. And I've got to say, I mean, I love Virginia Beach. I love it here. I'm a mortgage banker for over 25 years. I teach fitness classes. I have a small tax business, so I stay busy. And of course, I currently serve on the Virginia Beach School Board as well.
oh, okay. So you okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So I got a few questions for you. Are you ready?
I figured, bring them, bring them.
Awesome. Okay. So on your website, it says one
Yeah.
of your platforms is class discipline and school safety. How
Yes, ma'am.
exactly would you accomplish this?
Well, we're doing everything we can to accomplish it right now. Serving on the board, we see this all the time. And I have to say that, school safety is just paramount to the foundation of education. Parents want to know that their kids are safe when they send them off to school. I mean, the minute they walk to the bus stop, they want to feel like their kids are going to be safe and they don't have to worry about them throughout the day. So I do believe that school safety is paramount to education, and to families feeling confident that their kids are going to be fine while they're with us. And so, we have to ensure that school safety. And I think, one of the questions I've been asked recently is how do I feel about SROs? And I really feel like our school resource officers are just an important part of our team. And, a lot of times people think of SROs as, oh, they're the disciplinarians. They're only there to, show force. And actually, I've got to say that in so many cases, our SROs build really nice, important relationships with our students, especially at the elementary level and middle school and high school. I mean, but when they can build a foundation of really understanding that those, police officers are out there to help them and protect them and just really care about them truly, then I think it really does build a great environment of feeling safe and like that they can actually get focused on learning. So now the school discipline part, that is a really important part of all of this, right? Because without having discipline and control in a classroom, it's very hard for teachers to teach and for students to learn. But that also comes along with ensuring that we are not over disciplining, that we're looking at the incidents, that we're creating environments where students can release a little steam if they've had a bad morning without feeling like, oh my gosh, then, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get detention or suspension or worse. So, I love the fact that in a lot of our spaces, we are creating calming rooms, calming areas. Kids are able to get out in the halls and do some of the projects in the halls. So they're not just confined to a space, to a desk. And, we have so many more kids now that, are ADHD or, have mental health challenges. It's really good for them to be able to get out and not just sit behind a desk for 6 hours a day. So to be able to move around, to be able to use some of that energy, I think that that's really an important piece of ensuring that we're creating the best learning environment we can.
Okay. All right.
So,
All right.
yeah. And I think that a lot of anybody that who has ever reached out to me and felt like we have had a situation where perhaps we're not looking at all the factors, I truly believe that I was able to take a look at it and really, be able to use a good lens of ensuring that there was fair discipline. One of the things that we have to be sure of. Now, I'm only one vote in one discipline committee, but we have to be sure that we're taking a look at some of these incidences and not creating environments where they feel like they are, victimized, or they're not forgiven for anything, because we've all made mistakes, haven't we? We've
Yeah.
all made
Yeah.
bad choices, and we have to be able to grow and learn from them and not have that weigh us down for the rest of our life. So it's important to have a balance.
Okay. All right. So, how would you get the student to teacher ratio down?
So that is, a lot of these questions are very complex. And so I would say that one of the biggest things we've got to do is we got to focus on teacher retention and recruiting. That is paramount, because we just had a meeting last night, and I will tell you that we have a shortage of our teachers this year, at bus drivers, the whole gamut. We do have vacancies. So, when we have vacancies, let's just use the bus drivers as an example. When we have a vacancy in our bus drivers, that means we have bus drivers that are rerouting, are doubling back to make sure that they can pick up those other kids. And every single day we have bus drivers that call out. So when we have shortages, it does create stress on the foundation of education. And so, especially on the first day of school, if anybody thinks about the first day of school, a lot of times it's already stressful. And then, oh my gosh, the bus is late. What do we do now? Is my child going to be tardy? And that, so when we can create environments where we don't have to have that additional stress, which is already going to be there on the first day anyway, ensure that we've got all of our teaching positions filled, that is really where we have to start, right? And then after that, then what I would say is we've got to focus, as we're building these new schools, that we're looking at classroom sizes. And I know that we've had big discussions for many, many months now, as we talk about the next possible renovation, school to be renovated, that we're talking about those class sizes, talking about ensuring that we're not getting above a certain amount in classrooms, because of course, the more students that you have to pack into a classroom, the more opportunities for things to go awry and have learning kind of lessons. So yeah, I mean, these are big discussions that we've got to have, but I think it really starts with what we can do right now, and that is focus on teacher retention and recruiting, as well as ensuring that we are doing the right thing to be competitive in our division, and bring good people in and make sure that all those vacancies get filled. So I'm just going to put it out there. If you're interested in a great job in our division, we're looking for people.
Okay.
So we've got good benefits. Yeah.
You got good benefits.
That's right. We do have great benefits. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Come on, Nina, you can apply.
All right. So there was a racial incident at Kempsville High School with the baseball team. What would you have done differently if the parents had contacted you about it?
Well, so I don't know exactly the timeline on everything. What I do know is that we were, the school was contacted about incidents that were happening, and of course, we are all disappointed. Particularly myself as the board member who represents Kempsville. And my son went there, and I happen to just love Kempsville High School. I'm a part of that community, and so it was really disappointing for me to hear that happened at that school. So essentially, it was it was investigated. We heard of an incidents that were happening on this baseball team. It was investigated, and I feel like we did a good job in terms of supporting the principal, making sure that she was able to make that very tough decision to unfortunately cancel the rest of the year for that baseball team. I know that for many families, that was a very tough pill to swallow, because we had some seniors, on that team that would have liked to have finished out their senior year, with the other players. But it was the right thing to do to cancel the rest of the season. because we have got to make a statement in our division and, quite frankly, in our community, that that kind of behavior is not going to be tolerated. If there's not a consequence, then there's no reason to follow the structure and guidelines. So I think that what happened was appropriate. We are also continuing to enhance our discussions, our training, our education as we go into the next year. Last night, we just actually saw a video that is going to be put out there to all the schools, to every school, many times throughout the year, and it just talks about how we treat people. What is the appropriate way to communicate? And it's really important that we have those discussions, because I'm going to tell you, Nina, I mean, I was the only Asian in my district for the longest time. And it's very easy to make someone feel uncomfortable because they're different, right? Or because you don't understand. I completely understand the tail end of that, because when you're the person that stands out amongst everyone else, you're an easy target. So I can tell you that some decisions that I made were probably not great ones, only because I felt bullied, harassed sometimes. And I didn't take classes because maybe there was somebody in the class that I didn't feel comfortable with. And it's unfortunate that it's still happening today. It's unfortunate that we somehow can't find that right ingredient to move the needle even more and more every single year, right? We certainly have made progress, but there's a lot of progress yet to be made. And I am absolutely passionate about ensuring that we have students that understand how we treat each other in the schools and on the teams and throughout, our division. So it is a work in progress, but we are working very hard to make sure that we are continuing that conversation.
Okay. How would you ensure that children of all races are equally represented by you?
Well, I'm going to tell you, just listening to the families, listening to the community. I've been contacted several times about particular cases that, have come across the school board. And I really feel confident that I have, and I've gotten feedback from different members that, they feel like I was very fair in my assessment. And I do whatever I can to listen to all community members and families, because that is why we're here. Our students need to have an opportunity to thrive and grow and have a future. And quite frankly, I mean, I have been so passionate about working with the Renaissance Academy. I think that many members of the HRBC know about some of the measures that I've taken myself with my own money to provide opportunities to kids at the Renaissance Academy who I felt were sometimes forgotten after I got on the board. So, I've taken them on field trips to baseball games, to the ballet, to different things that I felt like they might not have an opportunity. And I've learned so much from just talking to those students. And I think that that is really an important piece of being able to represent your community and all races, is to listen and to make sure that you're not just listening to be able to make a response, but listening so that you can grow and understand. Because I don't think any one of us has every single answer 100% of the time. It takes the community to come in and talk to each other and build solutions together.
Okay. What are your thoughts on school starting early instead of after Labor Day?
So that is, oh gosh, there is a lot that goes into the calendar. Nina, I'm just going to tell you, there are many, many meetings that go into putting that calendar together. One of the big pieces that we have to really focus on is the fact that our convention center, where we hold the graduations, we are in a contract. We were in a 10-year contract with the convention center. So we've had to lock in our graduation dates for quite some time now. And we actually still have another, I believe, 2 years after this year, left on that contract. So that really provides an end date for us. So then what we have to do is we have to start puzzle piecing all of the requirements. So the required school days, the holidays, we put out calendar. You might, I mean, if you have kids in Virginia Beach school system, then you probably got surveys about the calendars. You know, how do you feel about a 2-week winter break? How do you feel about this? You know, so there are a lot of pieces that actually go into it. We reached out to the oceanfront community because they had strong feelings and still do about starting before Labor Day, because that impacts their employment, right? So there's a lot of pieces that go into it. For us this year, the big piece that we had to consider was that the Virginia Department of Education had really rolled out sweeping comprehensive changes, and training for Virginia literacy, science, and math, and so or history and math. So because a lot of that didn't come somewhat piecemealed over the last couple of years because of the pandemic, it was rolled out in a sweeping comprehensive way. And so our teachers this year really needed some time to be able to, one, take the training, to understand the training, and to be able to accomplish those tasks. So there are a lot of factors that go into the calendar. I personally don't love a pre-Labor Day start. Um, I don't love it, but sometimes we have to work for the best interest of teachers and students, and also the factors that we are required to have, which again is a graduation date this at a certain time, how many days we have to have kids on the seat in the seats, um, you know, and what the community wants then as well in terms of breaks and those type of things. So you would think that the calendar would not be quite as difficult to put together, but it is like putting a very big comprehensive puzzle together. And you know, and that is really what it comes down to at the end of the day. How do we put all those pieces together and make it work for as many people, and as many students as possible? So
Okay.
is that helpful? Okay.
I guess because my whole thing was like they just gonna go on vacation again.
No, I know. And I got to tell you, so a lot of times the community doesn't realize we don't make these decisions because we want to make it harder on families, harder on employers. You know, these are all things that our business is education. And so we have got mandates from the state and from the federal government that we have to comply with. Just like when you go to your work, you have guidelines within your work. These are things you've got to accomplish. It's no different for education. And unfortunately, being being on the school board, what I have found out is that you are the low rung on the totem pole. Okay. You've got the state, you've got the state that tells you what to do, and then you've got the federal government that tells you what to do. And then, of course, you also have requirements, because I know one of your questions is about special education as well. So you have requirements for mandated groups as well. So, you know, we there are a lot of puzzle pieces that go into many of these decisions, and I can guarantee you that none of these decisions are made just on the fly. We really get into the weeds and into all the information that goes into making these decisions.
Okay. All right. So, parents of children with special needs often feel not heard by their school districts. What would you do to help with this problem?
So again, we just talked about the fact that the federal government does have requirements for our special needs children, or kids with disabilities. And I'm actually this year, I'm really excited about this. I am the liaison for our SEAC, which is the Special Education Advisory Council. So that is the group that is put together mostly by either parents of kids with disabilities, special needs, or they actually are adults with special needs themselves and can provide a lot of insight. And so it's been interesting. I actually was the alternate last year, but had to, because the primary was not able to make some of the meetings. I started filling in starting last year, and it has actually been an amazing experience, quite frankly, Nina, because you learn so much. And that's why my tagline for this campaign is listening, learning, and leading. Because the minute you think that you know a lot, then all of a sudden you're added to a different committee and you're like, holy smokes, there is so much to still know about all of this, right? Mm-hmm. But so for those families with special needs, children, I would say communication and education is so important. You've got to be a part of your and be an advocate for your child. A lot of the stories that I hear from these families is, gosh, I wish I would have known that for my first child, but now I've got a second child that also is in this situation, and that's why I'm here. So if you have kids with special needs, please be involved, come to some of these groups. You're going to learn so much about what is out there for resources. Like we've got assistive technology, which is just amazing. I can't speak for other divisions, but I can tell you that our assistive technology that we offer in Virginia Beach schools, which means that if you have nonverbal speakers, you've got opportunities to have specialized computers, to have retrofitted computers, to have retrofitted other resources that will help you. You have more time on tests. You'll learn actually how to go into an IEP or 504 planning meeting with the counselors so that you're actually leading that meeting instead of just trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. So I'm here to tell you, I am passionate about this too. We have got to educate families. If they have questions, the first thing they need to be doing is talking to the counselors. And quite frankly, I've said this before, if I had a wish list, one of the things in the top 10 would be more counselors, because they have such an important role in our schools to provide this education. But a lot of times they're overwhelmed because they've got lots of families, they've got lots of students that need specific help. And so we need to be advocates for our kids, whether you're a parent, whether you're on the board, whether you're in the community, and making sure that we are getting out there with information and resources that are readily available. Because one, the state and the federal government require that we take care of all of our students. One thing that I had learned, and I can go on and on, so you can just stop me whenever, but one of the things that I had learned is that even kids in private school, we have to ensure that we're providing resources. And I actually had a parent who said that their child was at Norfolk Academy, but they decided to enroll them in Virginia Beach Public Schools because of the resources we could offer right now. So that made me feel really, really good, because that's a great school. But when it comes to special education, we obviously are providing things that perhaps other schools might not be able to. So even at a private school level. So with that said, I would say that we have got resources out there. Now we just have to inform and educate people on how to get a hold of them and use them. So
okay. All right, Jen, for my last question, you ready?
I think so. Tell me, go ahead.
What are the top 3 things you hope to accomplish if elected?
Okay. Well, I think I mentioned some of it. Teacher retention and recruiting, making sure that we have adequate staffing. I mean, all of that is so important to ensuring that we have a really good, conducive learning environment for our students, to ensure that they're getting all of the benefits of sitting in that classroom. Because quite frankly, we do so much in our division. I mean, above and beyond, we have the academies, we have, Governor's School of Arts, we've got, the Career and Technical Center, we've got our dual enrollment. There are so many opportunities for our kids, but we've got to make sure that we've got adequate staffing. We have great teachers, and we're retaining our teachers. So that really becomes a part of making sure that we are the division that people want to work, right? So that is always part of the budget discussion, and it's going to be a continual part of that. And then I would say just continuing to expand opportunities for student success. So we have 3 pillars that we go by. We want to enlist, enroll, or employ. And so enrolling, I mean, there are lots of kids that are on the path to enrollment. And if I can I take a minute just to talk about this one success story that we had this year? So Nina, and I hope that you get chills from this, because it's really, really important. But we had a student, as I told you, Renaissance Academy has kind of become my baby. I encourage all of our board members to go to graduations, because they do it right there in the school at RA. I really want to make sure that all of these kids feel like they leave our school with a future, right? Because if they can't dream, they can't hope. And so we have to make sure that we can provide them hope and dreams, right? And so with that, we had a Renaissance student, and this was one of my big goals that I have been working on, is to expand the bridge from Renaissance to Green Run Collegiate. Do you know what Green Run Collegiate is? Yeah. So it's our charter school. It's our public-private partnership. And so with Green Run Collegiate, it is purely a lottery system. We don't look at discipline. We don't look at grades. And it is a comprehensive IB program, interbaccalaureate program. There are two phases to that program, but we have the opportunity to have a full IB curriculum, which is, like Princess Anne High School has the standard IB program. This is a tough curriculum. We had a gal who had spent 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at Renaissance getting all E's, was encouraged to apply by her grandmother for Green Run Collegiate, got accepted. And Nina, I want to tell you, this year she graduated with honors and a full ride to Radford University. What? Yes. I mean, look, I still get chills. I've told that story probably 50 times and I still get chills about this, because the look on her face would just bring you to tears. When you see the look of hope on her face for the future that she can now have, that she never thought was available to her, that is why we send our kids to school and we give them opportunities, because we want that look on their face when they're walking across that stage. And so one of my goals is to ensure that all the kids, again, it's talking to families and letting them know about these opportunities and expanding that communication about that, because Green Run Collegiate is such a different program because of the foundation that they have that brings in additional monies. They're able to go on college field trips that maybe their families can't afford to take them on. When she never thought that she was going to go, away from Hampton Roads. Her mom was a single mom and has other kids at home. She wanted to be there to make sure that she could help out. But you know what? She went on a field trip to Radford and she's like, this feels like home. And so she stepped out and now she's excited about that. So that story is the reason why I want to continue my service on the school board, because that kind of stuff pumps me up. I love it. It's what feeds me, what feeds my soul. I want to make sure that we are providing more opportunities to anybody, any student that is looking to make a serious leap to a promising future, because she had to put in the work. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I did a podcast with her and her guidance counselor, and Miss Monica, her counselor, said, you know what? There were days where she was just like, I'm leaving a note because I'm having a bad day and we're not going to get along today. Okay. Miss Monica, I don't think I can do this. There were plenty of days like that, but they helped her. They supported her. They wrapped their arms around her in a way that she had not had before. And that is why that is the power of sending your kids on that path, especially if they can't get in the IB program at Princess Anne, especially if they can't do other things, especially if they want to go to Green Run because of the ROTC program there, the JROTC, which is amazing. They're a top JROTC winner, hands down, year after year. So, and look, I'm going to tell you, I get very excited about this stuff. So I'm sorry but I'm getting a little bit wound up here, but this is such good stuff, and exactly why I want to continue serving.
Okay. So now remind me what the top 3 are.
Oh, and I'm sorry. The last thing that we also have to work on. So the one was teacher retention and staff retention, recruiting. The second is providing opportunities to all of our students. And then the third would have to be our capital improvement funding. So our capital improvement funding is something that we have got to start bringing to light in our division and many divisions, quite frankly, throughout the state, because we're not getting the funds that we normally would have gotten from the state when it comes to capital improvement, which includes maintenance and renovations, right? So there was a period of time in the 90s, we were building schools left and right? We were just building. Student enrollment was going up, but that is all dried up. And so within the next 7 years, we're going to have to start making some really tough decisions. And so one of the things we have to work on, because guess what? The next couple of schools that are on the list to be renovated are for Princess Anne High School, Betty F. Williams, Bayside 6, Bayside High School, and and down the line, and Kempsville High School is also on that list as well. These are schools that, if we're not careful, we will have 100-year-old schools that we've got to maintain. And so this is one of the factors that we've got to look at, because it is proven that if you're proud to be in your space, you're going to perform better, right? If you walk into school that doesn't feel like it's well lit, or it doesn't feel like people care that you're there, it's just a proven statistic that you will feel better if you're in a space that you're proud of. And so I think one of the things we have to really work with, and this is not just talking to the community, this is talking to the state level and people on the state. So, I know HRBC has a lot of powerful people, in its community, and we've got to get serious about the discussion. What do we do with our degrading schools? Okay. We've got to start talking about those issues, because, cities are feeling the impact too. Our rec centers, how do we maintain our rec centers? These are real serious concerns, because quite frankly, we are a public school. We don't have an option to turn kids away, right? We're a public school. So we've got to make sure that we have schools that kids are walking into, that they don't have to worry about safety issues, or they're not going to feel proud of their spaces. So I think that when it comes to just looking at the things that are top on the list right now, we've got to start working on those three things to maintain the kind of division we have.
Awesome. Okay. So I don't have any more questions. Do you have anything else you want to tell the people?
Yeah, I would like to just say that I have really done my best. We are in a nonpartisan seat at the school board level and the city council level. And I've got to tell you, I've had both sides of the aisle mad at me and applaud me, because I look at the issues. And I really feel confident that I'm the only candidate in my race that is going to welcome and listen to all voices, regardless of who you are. And I've worked really hard. I've got a track record that backs that. And I think that it's important to make sure that when it comes to local races, these are people that have got to work to ensure that we're all working together. We don't have the opportunity to just sit out and, end our session without coming to real solutions. We are working together for our communities and for our schools. And we've got to pick people that want to work together with others and can play in the sandbox together, because we have got to come away with solutions for a lot of these problems that we have and the issues we face. So I would say I'm the candidate that's going to listen to everybody, work with everybody to really build solutions.
Awesome. Well, I would like to thank you for coming to the show,
Of
and I wish
course.
you the best of
Thank you. I appreciate it, Nina. Have a good night.
luck. Bye.
Bye.